Welcome to Midnight Chimes In. So this is going to be a little different from my usual video essay format in that this will just be me giving my initial loose and disorganised thoughts on a current event without necessarily reaching a conclusion. I'm sure you've all heard by now that Ncuti Gatwa has been cast as the 14th Doctor and will be taking over the role from the next series of Doctor Who onward to coincide with Russell T Davies returning as showrunner with Bad Wolf Productions. Now, whereas the last two actors I had some familiarity with prior to them taking on the role, Peter Capaldi, of course, was already pretty famous for playing Malcolm Tucker in the thick of it, and I also knew him from his previous appearances in Doctor Who and Torchwood. And although I never really watched Broadchurch, I was kind of aware of Jodie Whittaker's involvement in it. This time we have someone whose name I'm not at all familiar with. Now that probably says more about how uncultured I am than anything, since I'm aware that other fans are familiar with him and he's not a complete unknown in the same way that Matt Smith was, for instance. From what I gather, Gatwa is best known for portraying the character of Eric Eflong in Sex Education, a Netflix show that I have not watched, but I do intend to now at some point out of curiosity. But this means I literally have no idea what to expect, and honestly I kind of like that. It's exciting going into a new era without having any real preconceived notions about what it's going to be like. Now obviously this means it's difficult for me to pass any sort of judgment as far as whether or not this was a good choice. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's nice to have a Scottish Rwandan actor in the role, and the first person of colour to play the Doctor, which is long overdue. Of course, you could argue that honour should really go to Joe Martin, but this is the first time we've had a black person as the current main canonical actor in the part, and whichever way you look at it, that is significant. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that RTD didn't cast another female to play the Doctor, given how poorly the 13th Doctor was received and the fact that some will inevitably see this as an admission that casting a woman was a mistake. Not that the gender should make any difference, of course, but you know some people are going to look at it that way. And who knows, perhaps Russell T Davies had originally intended to have a female in the role. There was actually an interview that came out just after the announcement, which I'll link in the description, where Davies said that Gatwa was the last person to audition, and kind of implied that before he came in, they already had someone else penciled in for the role. And who knows, perhaps they were female. Maybe in another 20 years on the special edition anniversary box set we'll find out. But according to Russell T Davies, Gatwa just came in and blew everyone away with his audition. So I think this is very much a case of it being a meritocratic decision, if such a thing even exists in the industry, and Gatwa simply being the right man for the job, so to speak. No doubt the NMDs will still try to claim he only got cast because of his ethnicity, though. So that's my brief thoughts on the announcement of the 14th Doctor. I will be continuing to do my usual longer form content, and we've got more video essays and reviews planned for later this month on Doctor Who as well as Red Dwarf and the Owl House, so do make sure to hit the subscribe button if any of that interests you. But this is basically a way for me to quickly get my reactions out to announcements such as this so that I can be topical in the hope of appeasing the algorithm. This is Midnight Chimes, still waiting for the last train home.